Welcome to episode 26 of Personality Typing with Habib. Today we're going to be covering Thomas Massie. And this is the light edition as opposed to darkness. So I know the previous episode was more of a neutral one where I'm not really making a judgment one way or the other. And because I don't know that person as much as a sponsored episode and all that. But today, this is someone who I've been watching over the past few years, past couple of years at least. And I see some good character, even though there are some things I would disagree with. For example, Thomas Massie is a conservative person. I don't really consider myself that way. I'm pretty much like an independent thinker. I kind of go issue by issue or case by case basis. Understanding things, although mostly left-leaning in certain areas. But, I understand some conservative values as well. But yeah, Thomas Massie, he is from Kentucky. He is a congressman. And that is what today's episode is going to be about. It's June 20th. And yeah, as usual, my disclaimer is that there's no type accuracy guarantees. So the overview for this video is going to be a quick recap on Jonathan Pageau, which is the previous episode. I always go over the previous episode for a little bit. And then we're going to get right into the bulk of the video, which is reviewing clips of Thomas Massie's personality type. And from personality type, we understand ourselves. We understand ourselves and each other. We understand what makes a good character or a questionable character and how we can navigate all the human relationships and all the human decisions that we all have to make. Some of us use our brains, and understanding the brain is good. You also want to use the heart and other things like the soul and spirit. But yeah, so then we'll finally end with a guess with Thomas Massie's type, and then preview the next episode, which I'm going to announce at that time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So welcome to the light edition of Personality Typing with Habib. And yeah, here we have Jonathan Pageau from the previous episode. And there were quite a few people who really like this guy, even though I took more of a balanced approach. It was just very interesting how many people had positive things to say about Jonathan Pageau. So that is saying something. And yeah, he's an INFP. He's feeling at the top, in my opinion. And an NFP. And given how charged people seem to be about Jonathan Pageau, it makes me really understand that he's a decider, because people will go to war over their deciders. It's like, don't put them in the bad bucket, put them in the good bucket. So me even going neutral really ruffled some feathers in a way, and being like, you're too hard on him, Habib. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Don't we double decide here? I'm talking to double deciders and they're reluctant to double decide. But yeah, anyway, I did change a coin. I'm not exactly 100% sure on the change, because he could be either a number 4 or a number 2, social type wise. I'm seeing that he is friendly or tribe motivated, not in my way of, the flex or the self-motivated. He is going off of, what other people are saying and doing, and, he's trying his best in his way. And yeah, it's hard to tell whether generalizing or specializing is happening. I think he's been doing the same thing for a long time. So I initially thought friends are number 4, but some people think number 2. So I don't really have that strong of an opinion either way. It's hard for me to say. So I'm pretty undecided on that. But for now, I just put number 2 just to show, it's kind of undecided. But possibly more the reasoning for the number 2, the generalist, is that he's talking about some very big topics, and he can kind of see the scam a little bit, but I'm not exactly sure about that, honestly. So if you have a guess for his social type, I'd love to know. I'm really confused on that. But otherwise, he does seem like an INFP rather than an ENFP. So I got more sold on that. And I was deciding between MF and FF. I'm increasingly more sold that he's MF. People were bringing up Jason Segel and Denis Villeneuve, who are also masculine, sensory, feminine tribe people. But anyway, this is someone who is, as I mentioned, an expert in symbolism. But catch the episode for my full take on that. I do stand by everything I said. I listed some pros and cons, and some people just don't enjoy double deciding people. And that is that. That is a personal issue. If you have issues double deciding people, I didn't know how much people were going to be charged on this, you know. Anyway, moving on. First impression of this guy who, you know, I've been looking at for a bit, you know, in terms of like I know about him. And yeah, the first impression is that he's some kind of ITP, some kind of TI person, because he went to MIT, but not just because he went to MIT, right? But the way he talks about tools and things, and the way he talks about fixing things, being an engineer, doing things that make sense, and yeah, just the way he approaches like traditional conservative values and things, but then also just looks wise, you're gonna see it. I'm gonna have an image come up, but some ISTPs he reminded me of was Chris Guillebeau, Cal Newport especially, as well as Glenn Jacobs, who's more MF. So the MF versus FF question remains, you know, that's one of the hardest coins for me. And then even Mark Zuckerberg, because when he was younger, he had the curly hair. So I'm like wondering what that curly hair is all about. Is that maybe a double feminine thing? I don't know. Maybe some MF people, maybe it's just, I don't know. There's some curly hair thing going on. Or it seems that way. But if we look at Cal Newport here, who wrote the book Deep Work, which is a good concept, we see Thomas Massie looking like your standard ISTP with the, you know, with his plaid shirt and jeans and whatever. He does a lot of like things off grid, and he makes his own things. Like, I don't even know. Like he lives off the grid, so he creates his own power supply and things like that. So he's definitely like, you know, ISTP slam dunk, you know, I totally want to do that, but we have to prove certain things. And it's like, what kind of ISTP is he? Are you sure he's not an INTP? You know, so we're going to be taking a look at those things. And, yeah, so today, you know, I'm just going to mention, I don't agree with him on everything, but I think this is a person who's a very good example of someone who is in the light, or someone who is a good character, trying to do better every day, trying to do the right thing, and consistently being courageous, even though you're presented with the opportunity of doing bad or doing nothing, sitting idle, versus doing something, versus taking a risk, versus, you know, actually putting your skin in the game, and standing up for people. He's standing up on a number of important issues where it does cause a lot of harm. His wife also passed away, so it's like, and people have questions about that, but because in terms of like, people go after this guy, and including Trump, right? So even though, yeah, he's a Republican and all this, but anyway, we'll get into it. The first video is going to be a funny one with our buddy JP Sears, who is an ISFP, one of the rare types in objective personality, right? We have so few ISFPs. And this was a recently filmed video. So we're going to see JP Sears being more sarcastic and funny. And then is Thomas Massie going along with the NF or the SF side of JP Sears, who is double activated NF sleep. So he's, yeah, but I'm alleging that they're both IPs. So that'll be funny to see. Anyway, let's take a look at the first clip. Getting to know Thomas Massie.
Thomas Massie, you're bad for America.
Right.
It's not funny. President Trump says you are a pathetic loser. You're a moron. You're a rhino, and you're a backstabbing grandstander.
It's to silence me. It's so that I shut up.
You know why he wants to silence you?
For merely telling the truth.
No, you don't tell the truth. President Trump does. It's because you're a traitor. You've been a traitor this whole time, haven't you?
Never.
Gotten another lie to prove it. I've obtained a copy of your Liberty score, and it shows you have it 0 points in being loyal to America.
JP, that's the Israel lobby funding, not the Liberty scores.
Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. 0 funding from Israel. I didn't know you hated America that much.
Correct.
I mean, your opponent seems to stand for America and America's interests only.
A foreign lobby has fully funded to the extent that they've never done in any Republican race ever before. My opponent.
But he's got a Liberty score of almost 12 million.
95% of it, at least 95%, has come from the Israeli lobby.
Looks like Israel hates you. You ever wonder why?
It turns out that I've never voted for foreign aid, but it turns out there's one lobby that's very upset about that, and that's the Israeli lobby.
Israel wants to take you out in this U.S. election because you're an anti-Semite.
I have a lot of Jewish friends.
Keeping your friends close, but your enemies closer.
And that...
Okay, I think I missed this when I was pulling this video, that the clip of Thomas Massie is probably from another interview that JP Sears made in a funny way. But anyway, you fooled me. So anyway, there's another clip. But you can see kind of the ST. Thomas Massie seems to be more on the ST side, that JP Sears is like, yo, this is easy to make fun of or to point out in a sarcastic way. So yeah, let's see a bit more of this.
So why did you betray these Americans and backstab Trump by pushing so hard to really see Epstein files?
Well, I was doing it to uncover the creeps, right?
I don't think there's creeps in there. Just innocent people talking about torturing children.
Once I met the survivors, it became even more personal to get justice for them.
You mean to betray the president and the party?
They're covering up for pedophiles. Look, the president's own children, the vice president, the FBI director, and the president himself said that they would release the Epstein files.
He never said that.
Now, I worked harder than anybody else to get it done and got it done.
You hurt the president. And you hurt his friends.
Why did they, and why do they continue to cover this stuff up?
I love America. There's nothing to cover up.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, this is funny to me. But yeah, JP Sears, I mean, it's classic IPs. Rather than getting into a room, they're pretending to get into a room with each other. Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, it seemed pretty funny. And Thomas Massie is very ST. It makes it, I have that issue as well, having SETE. I'm just very easy to make fun of in the moment or like this. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, so the next clip is going to be with a different person who, James Lee, he is probably something like an ENTP, I'm guessing, with, so he's playing the double decider role. But Thomas Massie, there's going to be a series of clips. I'm going to, from this video. So, yeah, and Thomas Massie, he is just playing the TI character, and what is he saying? Why is he saying it? So let's see how we can prove or disprove TI.
Have an unfavorable view of me as have a favorable view. And not a single thing has changed about the way I do my job and the principles I represent and the way I vote. I have voted the same time every time. It's because you can change public opinion with commercials. That's why corporations do it.
Well,
that's why politicians do it.
So I think this is I don't want me to steal your question, but I did want to know, like, well, then you're like an MIT guy, very smart. You build everything with your hands, like you're off the grid. Why did you even do this at all?
I
apologize for stealing your question.
No,
well, I'll address it to you.
Yeah. It's her
But,
question. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Bad judgment. Well, listen, I tell people, if I could get, what was it, the neuralizer in Men in Black?
Yeah.
Where they give
Wipe
you
your
a
memory,
visual
yeah.
lobotomy or something, you look in there and it erases your brain. If that was an option, I might be like, give me that thing. And then go back to not knowing what's behind the curtain. But the instant I got elected and got to Washington, D.C. and saw what goes on and how bad it is, I'm like, I've got to fix this. And if I can't fix it, I got to at least tell people what the hell is really going on up here. And I've spent 12 years telling people what's going on, like how involved the foreign lobbyists are, how the uniparty works, how the Republicans and the Democrats are having fake fights to try to convince people back home that they're up there fighting when in fact they're all just big spenders. And so I've spent 12 years not necessarily being an obstructionist, but imposing transparency.
Yep, imposing transparency. Who do we know that does that? Yeah, so he is very ST in that sense, but TI wants to fix things, right? And he's pulling back the curtain. He's talking about like, hey, with the MIB, the Men in Black forgetting machine, if he could just wipe his memory off, he would possibly, but based on what he's seen, he has to do something about it. And so this is whenever myself as an observer, the information can freak me out. But whenever I listen to deciders, right, when they have the deciding function first, thinking or feeling, doesn't matter, they are going to do something with the information that they're collecting. And if you tell them certain information, they're going to do something about it. So he's figuring out how the politics works, how there's a lot of fake fights, how, all this stuff is constructed, and he's going and telling people back home. And I think it's just very admirable that he, given that he knows what he knows, he's choosing to do something about it, where so many others are just kind of scraping by or like, just getting along with, whatever the program is or whatever the expected things are. He's able to go against it because he wants to fix it, right? Which is very tough, it's not easy to do. And he's going up against the entire machine and all that. We have a comment here. Kind of launched into the demon FE at the beginning of the clip. Totally missing the NF of things. Not going to lie, the vibe of politics and the machine is not this mysterious thing to everybody. Understood the tribe values on the back end. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the machine is not mysterious to deciders. It just makes total sense. It's just a matter of like, are we doing something about it? It becomes a different set of equations for the deciders, which is when are you going to choose to do something about it? Or you continue ignoring it? But the system isn't hard to figure out for deciders. In the next clip, we're going to see that he's kind of surprised by the tribe. There's a funny story with the Uber driver. There's going to be a little something about the trans issue, which, I wouldn't agree with him on, but that's not really the important part of the clip. But he does joke about that. But yeah, that's, I don't agree with him about everything.
State has, but whatever their plans are, it would really mess things up, right?
I don't know what God's plan is for me.
Yes.
But I can tell you, by spending $30 million in this race, they've definitely elevated my profile. I was in an Uber this morning, okay, because I didn't have a car this week in DC to go get my hair cut. And I know I need more haircut, but I'm talking to the Uber driver and he hasn't turned around. And he's from another country, but he seems somewhat conservative. I used somebody else's Uber account. Okay, I'm not going to say who, but it was a female. And I got in the car, and I'll use a different name. He goes, Tiffany? And I said, this Uber's for me, but I'm not Tiffany. And he goes, well, these days you can be anything you want, I guess. I never question it. And then we started talking about high prices of everything. And we started talking about how the war was causing that. And then he started talking about how Israel has too much influence on our foreign policy. And I said, all right, I'm going to tell you who I am. I said, I've got Israeli lobby spending, $20 million against me. And I'm a congressman. And he looked up in the mirror. He goes, Thomas Massie? Thomas Massie is in my car? Like, he knew who I was. Because how does an Uber driver in DC from a foreign country who's, he's now an American and he works very hard and he sounds like he leans independent / conservative. At least he's common sense.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if the Uber driver knows who I am and he's not been in this country very long.
Could be Mossad.
I feel
could have
like...
been Mossad. That's why I used a different name. That's why I was Tiffany.
That's why James uses a different name.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like a lot of times these plans backfire, right? After Charlie Kirk was assassinated. My mom is a Republican. She's a Fox News watcher, and there was, a lot of people talking, could it be Israel? He was starting to come out questioning things. And my mom calls me one day and she goes, do you think Israel might have killed Charlie Kirk? I go, if my mom thinks this, right? All the propaganda and stuff that they're doing is not working. And so to your point, these ads might propel you. You win this. Now you have the Uber guy from another country recognizing your name. Who knows? This could be the biggest backfire of all time.
And you know what? After he dropped me off at the barber shop.
Yeah.
And he said, can I get a selfie? And I said, sure. And he goes, give me your website. I'm donating to you today.
Wow.
Amazing.
And I was like, please don't, don't donate too much.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who knows that everybody else is barely scrapping by. He's got to pay for his own gas in his Uber car. It's cutting into his ability to make a living.
And I just want to show that, that empathy there that Thomas Massie has for this Uber driver, where he's like, hey, don't donate too much because you are, paying for your own gas. You have your own bills to pay. And like, how many times do you hear, politicians saying like, hey, don't donate to me. Because, anyway, so that's a little bit of the Friends coin there. But more than that, earlier, it's just his surprise by the tribe. Like the way he talks about other people is like, oh, even this guy knows what's up. Like, how does someone from a foreign country know who I am? Right. Thomas Massie. And it's just wild. And then Indie Author has another comment about God's plan for me. Another demon and I hint maybe. Yeah, for sure. The throwing the NI plans to God, that's what we see, right? There's always the deifying or demonizing of your demons, right? And I honestly did struggle a bit in the beginning of telling between SE and NE, because he does have a lot of NT, right? But if you are a consumed sleep, or if you have a higher sleep as a ISTP, your NT is going to be pretty strong. So, that's something. So in this clip, we're just going to see a little bit of a sassy Massie, right? Like and it's going to cover a little bit of tweeting. What we're trying to see is if he has the SEFE functions. Is he more double feminine or MF? Those are the two things I'm looking out for. Is what are his observer functions, and then is it feminine or masculine? Like why does he have the nickname of Sassy Massie?
Oriented, tone. And it was like, and so we caught him. I screen captured it and I just embarrassed him. So what did he do? Did he take it down and write another post? No, he took it down, took the AI header off and put it back up. The same AI post. Okay. Well, that's what this race, like you're talking about all the marbles, all the chips.
Yeah.
Like I write my own social media posts. Okay. This is why another reason I'm in social.
Yeah. I think your social media manager actually told me that.
Yeah.
Earlier.
And so what I do is just to disclose.
Because I was like, who's sassy? Is it you that's sassy, or is it,
I would fire my staff if they did the stuff I do online. Yeah. And then also, if I wake up, my sleep habits are I get like 5 hours in, then I wake up an hour, and then I go back to sleep. Mm. But in that hour, I wake up like at 3 a.m. I'm online. Mm. Okay. My Maha wife is like, put your red screen on. It's too bright. So I got the red screen app, so I can do this without waking her up or ruining her retinas, whatever.
Yeah.
With blue light. And people are like, this is one of Congressman Massie's staffers. And I'm like, I can assure you, 3 a.m. at Saturday morning, my staff is not doing this. They're not working.
Oh my God, that's a lot of proving. Okay, I have my own ST cringe on that. Because he's explaining, is it really you or is it your staffer? And he's really saying, no, that's me. I'm the sassy guy tweeting at 3 a.m. And it feels like, it could be, I don't know if it's double feminine. I think just being sassy is a bit more on the double feminine side rather than MF. And we know there are some double feminines who are tweeting a lot, right? Like Elon Musk is double feminine, and And, Donald Trump is double masculine, but there's kind of like this dichotomy between double feminine and double masculine where they can be similar in that way. So, yeah, there's that. And then it just strikes me a little bit more SE rather than NE. I think NE would have glossed over this type of story a lot faster, would have probably captured a lot of the concept of it before, rather than going into the sensory of it. And the reason why I'm even proving this is because sometimes the middle functions are hard to spot, right? An INTP and an ISTP can be pretty close. And this dude is very intelligent with MIT and building his own stuff and going off grid. I'm like, hey, if I'm not careful, I might miss that he is an INTP instead of ISTP. Anyway, seems pretty SE to me. And yeah, the next clip. Okay, so this is the last one of this video. And basically, there's a situation where he's talking about doing the impossible. There's a little bit of back and forth between TI and FE, but you can kind of see that, right? This is not the FI and TE functions. You'll see that. And yeah, he gives some kudos to other people, which is always nice to see the IPs do. It's always nice to see the IPs give other people credit. So I have it on video. Let's go see it.
To me, it did seem impossible given the things I have attempted in Congress. And it's like Lucy and the football. They always at the last minute, the swamp, like the victory is right there. And usually it's somebody I relied on. It's usually a person. It wasn't a problem with the logic. I'm an engineer, right?
Yeah.
It could have worked, except somebody let me down who swore they would not let me down. And that's what I thought was the weakness in this plan. And it turned out the three women that chose to put their name on the discharge petition, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert is in Kentucky with me right now campaigning.
Yes.
She's in this room right here. Came to this rally. Those three women did not let me down. They did not let the survivors down. And they were so brave, and they each paid a price for it. But what I want to say is it seemed so unlikely that that would succeed. And it did succeed. And then the evil that we've disclosed is demonic.
Yes.
Like it's beyond the things that any normal human being would even contemplate, much less act out on. And so I think the Epstein files, getting them released, seeing the evil that's in them, is more evidence that there is a God and he's interested in what's going on right now. And I think the fact that I had these globalist billionaires spend, $20 million against me so far.
Yep. Okay, yeah. So why are the people having an agenda against him? Who are these people? And yeah, it's totally decider time to give credit, take credit, all this thing. And also lacking an imagination into evil, aka lacking an IFI for sure. Yeah, he is just kind of demonizing the entire situation of the Epstein files in that sense, of like, hey, it's demonic. And it's just like understanding that. It's hard to conceptualize when you are operating from a single deciding function, right? He's mostly operating from his TI, not really feeling out the FE of things that he doesn't value. And so it was nice that he gave credit to some other people, but you can see that it's a little bit out of his element in a way, in terms of like, it's like, hey, these people are doing things that are TI hard, and they paid a price for it. And so people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, right, as well as the others he mentioned. But yeah, you can definitely see the SE over NI there. And yeah, lacking a bit of imagination in a way. But yeah, fellow blockhead there. So speaking of blockheads, the next video is going to have not one, but allegedly, according to me, 2 ISTPs. So we already know that Theo Von is an ISTP, but a very extroverted one. So that makes him a little bit different from the traditional ISTP. But Thomas Massie is, more on the introverted side, a little bit more NT activation. And so Theo Von is generally confused about a lot of things. He's a smart guy, but he asks a lot of questions about things he, doesn't understand. And Thomas Massie is trying to explain some things. And in this specific case, it's more of Thomas Massie is going to explain a little bit of Trump derangement syndrome, but from a different angle. But yeah, so, and he's going to do an impression of Donald Trump. So that'll be entertaining. Let's check it out.
Bill.
And so when that happens, you guys all get together in a room and he gets to speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
200 people in the room.
Okay. And so he's petitioning for the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah. He's telling us how great it is. And then he says something about me. And then he realizes I might be in the room. He said, "Is Tom Massie in the room?" And I raised my hand and he looked at me. He said, "You know, the thing about Tom Massie is he's very much like Rand Paul. They're both from Kentucky. You can never get them to vote for anything. And they got the same hair."
That's pretty true, huh?
Then he goes, "Actually, I like Massie's hair better." So all my colleagues, they were approving of me that day.
That's hilarious.
So
yeah, there's, I mean, some people hate Donald Trump. Some people love Donald Trump. I just think you cannot deny that he is there is nobody like him.
There's two forms of Trump derangement syndrome, though. There's the kind where you hate him so much it's irrational, and even if he's for something you support, you still be against him. And a lot of liberals have Trump derangement syndrome, and some Republicans.
Well, that's a general thing. I think that's just a political derangement syndrome too. I mean, I have friends that it's like you could show them the same exact thing, but if it's a Republican saying it or a Democrat, and they'll choose the other side, you know?
Well, that's why there's the other version of Trump derangement syndrome, which is you love him so much that when he goes against something he said he would do, or he does something that's against your principles, you change your own principles to support him. And I think that's just as dangerous. And I try not to have either of the Trump derangement syndromes. You know, just be for the people of Kentucky.
Yeah, and look, Kentucky derangement alone is that's a pretty good, you know what I'm saying? That's not a bad, you know, that's its own.
Yep. So that was a really good clip in terms of explaining the Trump derangement syndrome, that you could be too much for someone. And this is a lesson, by the way, people need from the previous video on Jonathan Pageau, which is you could be totally against someone and not make any sense, or you could actually have some principles where you push back, where there are areas where you push back, right? And that's honestly unlocking double deciding, right? So Thomas Massie has actual TI principles, you know, and I would say principles can be a little bit of NI, a little bit of TI, right? Because a lot of it is logical consistency. When you have a principle, for example, like freedom of speech, that means you have to support, you know, your opponent's freedom of speech as well, right? So that's a principle. And you need to be able to stick by your principles, even with the people you like or don't like, you know, that's when it matters. And Thomas Massie is one of the few Republicans who actually has principles and stands by it and, you know, pays the price for that. And so that's why I say he has good character. And yeah, I see he's trying to double decide. Good for Tom. Yeah. I think this is very good for, I mean, seeing a single decide or double decide or try to double decide. I think it's good. I think it's really good. And yeah, like demystifying Trump, even whether you have someone you like a lot, if there's someone really good or really bad, it's about demystifying it, make it a little bit more understandable, comprehensible, workable, you know. Otherwise it becomes this, you know, massive thing that is just not misunderstood, really. So in the next clip, we're going to see Thomas Massie's NT puzzling. It's about, he's going to explain lobbying a bit. And I see, you know, in the author, it says, I do not think Massie has a lot of NT. Smart, yes, but ST smart. I would say that's really good because, yeah, he has more ST than NT. This much is true. But I think the NT side, it's there at least more than, it's frequently hit more than Theo Von because Thomas Massie might have sleep over play. So that will activate his NT sleep. His TI and NI functions may have some activation on them. I'm trying to determine whether it's double masculine NT sleep or FM NT sleep. meaning is the NI masculine or feminine? I'm not really sure. Let's check it out. It's about lobbying.
Would exist or should have access to U.S. offices, and those are foreign lobbyists.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard you talk about this before, and I've heard a lot of people are talking about it now. It's definitely become a hot topic. And AIPAC is one of the big ones. And that stands for American
Israeli political. It's not a fund. It didn't start out as a super PAC. So
Political Action Committee?
Public Affairs Committee.
Public Affairs Committee. American Israel Public Affairs Committee.
Now, a lot of times PAC stands for Political Action Committee, like you said, but these guys were started before there were political action committees, so it stands for Public Affairs Committee.
Got it.
And they brag that they've spent more on elections than any other lobbying group
in the world.
In the United States.
In the United States.
In Congress.
Okay.
They now do have a political action committee, and I forget what the name of it is. So AIPAC has a subsidiary that spends money to basically crack heads of congressmen. So there's two kinds of, by the way, there are two kinds of lobbying groups.
Mm-hmm.
There's access lobbying. That's where they're all your friends. They're never mean to you. Even if they don't like you, they'll buy you a steak dinner. And they'll try to get you to hear out their point of view. And they figure, as long as I can get in that person's office, I'm doing well for the people I'm lobbying for.
Okay.
But then there are confrontational lobbyists like AIPAC. And AIPAC has transitioned into a confrontational lobbying group where if you don't do what they want, they come after you.
Wow. And what does it look like?
They spent $400,000 against me in my last election. And they are basically advertise themselves as just all things Israel. They are lobbying for more money to go to Israel, which all the money we give to Israel is military money. So they are basically lobbyists for the military industrial complex.
Got it. Understood. So, and I'll ask you some questions about that, the military industrial complex, in a few minutes.
All right. Yeah. So I was trying to see where the NT puzzling was, and what was happening is he's explaining lobbying. There's the combative lobbying versus the access lobbying. And that's something that I need explained to me. I need someone to explain that to me, because there's, what's going on with this, right? There's foreign nations or foreign entities that are, buying our politicians, or, sitting with them in Washington, D.C., and that's influencing a lot of things. And this is funny. They came after me. They bash heads. Yeah, the lobbyists. What I really meant by the FM or MM, I meant the actual NT sleep. I kind of went a little advanced with that title there. So I meant real aggressive. It could be masculine FE, but at least I'm just going off of feminine DE as just the default, unless it's proven otherwise. But what I really mean is masculine NI with masculine TI, or feminine NI with masculine TI, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking of like, how strong is that NI? And it might be a little bit more feminine. I really, my final slide will have a certain guess, but I'm not really too certain. But yeah, I think he does a great job explaining the different types of lobbying. Okay, I have NT last, so everyone has more NT than me, including Thomas Massie. But yeah, so anyway, in these next clips, we're just going to see a little bit more double observing. Maybe you'll be able to develop some guesses for yourself, for me, for, whatever. For Thomas Massie.
This extremely evil look to me, and I think to a lot of people,
Well, rough numbers, there are 2 million people in Gaza, and 50,000 have been killed. That's 2.5%. Like, they've killed 1 in 40 people in Gaza. If you did that in the United States, if you did 2.5% of 350 million, it'd be almost 10 million people dead in the United States. Everybody in Gaza is at this point related to somebody who's been killed. Like, at least a first cousin you had killed. And then if you say how many have been maimed, it's probably 3 or 4 times that. So everybody in Gaza knows people who've been killed and maimed.
And we're supporting it, right? That's also the part that makes it really tough sometimes to just be a person. It's like, our tax money is going towards this. But I just hope that people in some of these other countries know that, you know, it's not regular everyday people who would want to do these things, you know, that it's like governments making these choices and it's corporate interests that make these choices. How would we stop it? Well, do we need this connection with Israel? What is it? No one ever explains what it's for, I feel like, right? That would help everybody have a much better understanding, you know, because it starts to feel like America is just a shell company, an LLC for Israel. That's what it starts to feel like a lot of times, you know? Do you feel like that's realistic, or do you feel like that's off base?
I wouldn't send him a dime. Like, that's my position. I don't think whatever we're getting isn't worth it. And don't ask me to articulate the benefit, because I think the cost is greater than the benefit. Everybody in Gaza is, at this point, has to hate Israel, right? And by extension, those bombs, when they see American politicians go over there and like sign the freaking bombs that are going to kill women and children.
What do we actually? There was just a clip with Ted Cruz that came up. Can you see if you?
Yeah, they go over that clip with Ted Cruz, which is pretty bad. But yeah, anyway, I'll be putting the videos in the description so you can check this out. But anyway, I'm seeing the SE and the NI in the middle. I'm starting to see masculine SE, maybe it's feminine NI, right? He's able to talk about the numbers, you know, 2 million people, and then it's 5% or something of the population, or whatever. I forgot the numbers. You see, it's you kind of need masculine sensory to remember the numbers in a way. You not necessarily, but you know, it's hard to prove, but there's a lot of good double observing there, and I like that he says, hey, like, I wouldn't send them a dime. Whatever we're getting is not really good enough for what's going on there. I agree with that. I understand there might be a few people with different viewpoints, but I think it's not worth it. It's generally not worth it, but you kind of know my viewpoint, and everyone has their own view. Some more right than others. So in the next clip, so I mean, that's what I like about Thomas Massie. That's why I'm typing him. That's why I say he's on the light side, because he's speaking for the people in Gaza. He's speaking for the victims of the Epstein files and all that stuff, right? So he's speaking for the people who are weak and all that, and doing something about it, because, you know, why are we having our tax money go to this stuff? And it's kind of, it's pretty wild, because the average everyday American does not benefit from these things happening. For sure. 99.9% of America does not benefit from these horrible things going on. That's the truth. Anyway, so clip 3D, we'll see some more double observing. Maybe it's an important clip. Let's check it out.
Their possession of dual citizenship, and also the foreign country in which their dual citizenship is held. So right now, people don't have to disclose.
Nope, they don't.
What?
You would have no idea.
Have you seen Spies Like Us, dude?
It's also, by the way, it's a safety net, by the way. If something went really bad, you could just go live in your other country. I think you should be all in for this country.
I agree. This ain't the fucking hokey pokey, dude. I think you got to have both feet in or both feet out. You know what I'm saying, dude? But any country this could happen. It could be. So that's not just Israel.
Correct. It could be any country. Could be.
But Israel's the only one that has a big lobby.
So
is there the Russian, like Russia PAC or whatever?
No, there is not. Like I say, there's not even Australia PAC or Great Britain PAC. I mean, because they're natural allies. Why would they have to lobby Congress? They're also.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what it is. So the next clip is gonna have a little bit more TI, but I think there's a specific point about how Thomas Massie identifies himself. He will identify himself as a disruptor with principles, and you can kind of feel out how you are seeing this. Let's check it out.
So somebody needs to not sign the bill, if that would be the president, if it perpetuates the fraud. I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Can't wait for the National Endowment for Democracy to get another 300 million, as you've been pointing out. That's in the minibus.
I'm going to predict it does. I'm going to predict they don't stop that, even though they complain about it. And it's a tool for intervention overseas. It's a tool for the CIA. It's a lot of money going overseas. I don't think that's going to make America great again.
Well, and my final question for you is actually back when you did an interview with my colleagues and me at the Washington Examiner in like 2017. And I wrote a story afterwards about something so interesting you said, which is that back in 2012, when you'd been campaigning with Ron Paul and Rand Paul, you thought everyone was super excited. You know where I'm going with this. Super excited about like libertarian ideas. And you found out ultimately that they were just looking for the craziest son of a bitch in the race.
Yeah.
Are you now the craziest son of a bitch in the race? Are you going to win by being more MAGA than MAGA?
Well, I mean, I did apply that name to myself back then. Even I said that when they elected Ron Paul and Rand Paul and myself, I thought the Republican Party was going more libertarian, more constitutional, and then I saw Donald Trump get in a race and take the same base that we had. And then I realized at that point, they had not been voting for the libertarian or the constitutionalist. They were voting for the craziest son of a bitch in the race.
Disruptor.
The disruptor. And, I use that as a term of endearment, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Same.
I think I'm the only sane Republican in the race right now, or the only one that's forming an opinion that sometimes deviates from the groupthink.
The sanest son of a bitch.
Probably.
All right. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, having principles, standing by them, having an actual opinion. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm an ESFP. I don't have TI necessarily, but I want to be able to stand by my opinion and have it, share it, and stick by it. So I'm learning this kind of thing from someone like Thomas Massie, and there are all kinds of people who are doing this. And even as this, so even as this is filming, there was a copyright issue with a stream. It could get demonetized. The suspension might have been a report or a false AI flagging content. Thank you so much for keeping me up to date on the issues with the stream. But yeah, it's because the truth is powerful. The censors are going after that, and that's why I'm doing this kind of content, because it's actually very important and all that. But yeah, anyway, this last video, we don't have that much left to prove, but we're going to get into just a little bit with Tucker Carlson. It's the last video. We're going to be going over the first one where you got glasses Tom versus non-glasses Tom. That's always funny. The upgrade, in my opinion, the consume sleep TI upgrade. Mark Zuckerberg went through his glow up situation as well. Not that that's a good person at all, but these anyway, so this is a video from a few years ago, and so the debt gadget. So he has a certain debt calculator on his suit, and that calculates the national debt. He talks about that. There are some conservative values that are actually good, which is, hey, don't go spending money you don't have as much. The nation is, United States is almost in $40 trillion of debt. So you kind of want to get a handle on that.
So what is that thing moving on your lapel, on your pocket?
That's the debt. That's my anxiety generator.
So it's actually making me really anxious. Is that real time?
Yes. So it's synced to Treasury. It gets the debt to the penny once a day. And then it looks at what the debt was a year ago, and it comes up with a rolling average debt per second, and it interpolates on weekends and holidays when the Treasury is not paying attention. I am.
So I think you're the only one who wants to know.
Yes, and I want my colleagues to know, and it's great to wear this thing in an elevator with like Adam Schiff, and he's got nowhere to look. I once caught a female congresswoman staring at it and had to tell her my eyes were up here. She asked me why I didn't make a belt buckle out of it.
Oh yeah, that was good. And ENFP Tucker Carlson, of course, loves that. Gotta love the humor. So explaining sanctions in this situation, I mean, these things need to be explained to me. I'm an ESFP. Somebody explain it. But yeah, maybe I'm overplaying the NT side. It's not that NT. It's just more NT than me. So,
bringing it off to the
But
side.
it almost feels like, it's so big that why even deal with it?
That's where we are. We're kind of, I think a lot of lawmakers are apathetic. They're
Yes.
like, well, we can't fix it. We're not going to fix it. We might as well indulge in it and I'll see what I can get.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So where does it end?
Right now, we're able to finance it because we're the world's reserve currency.
Right.
And when we print more money, which we're doing all the time, the Fed is doing that, we're actually taxing the world. Everybody in the world who holds dollars gets like a 3% transaction fee. I say we're kind of like the credit card at the gas station that gets 3% because you're using that credit card.
Right.
Well, we get 3% from inflation we cause because the world is using our currency. And we can do that as long as they use our currency. But I think it's going to end at some point. They're going to quit using our dollars as reserve currency. I mean, I watched your interview with Putin. And one of the things, whether you hate him or not, one of the things he said that is true is when we sanctioned him, before we sanctioned Russia, 70% of their transactions were in US dollars. And after the sanctions, it's less than 20% of their transactions are in US dollars. So what we're doing with all these sanctions, ironically, we're shooting ourselves in the foot every time we sanction a country and say you can't use our currency to have a transaction. We're taking away our ability to charge them 3% for that transaction, because when we print 3% more dollars, we're just taking that money.
And we're also sending a really clear signal, which is the dollar's not safe for you.
Right.
That's the
which is the dollar's not safe for you. I love the observer I love the observer framing. But yeah, it seems like the stream is back online. So for people watching the recording, there's possibly some flags going around with the AI and all this. But yeah, Massie looks so different here. He actually has Rand Paul hair. Yeah, that's funny. So I'm seeing from a visual typing perspective, there might be something here to look out for. So I'd be curious, what is Rand Paul's type? And yeah. And one thing people are not noting often is the Iran war pumped the dollar strength. That is possibly something as well. The war does have some impact on the dollar. Positive. It's possible that it's positive. Hit me in the, not that war is good, war is bad, war is really bad, but it can have certain economic effects that benefit certain people. And anyway, hit me in the gold value, but I realized I was not losing money on gold, but the dollar was just stronger. So I would be getting better dollars in exchange. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's something to be said about hard money. Not that I talk about that kind of thing here, but yeah, US dollar, it goes through all kinds of things, and sanctions do affect that. Things like this, like what is the global reserve currency? This is something to think about. And then the last clip, this is the last clip, at least from here, that, yeah, Thomas Massie is just going to be talking about the military a little bit and explain a little bit of some rebranding that it's possibly undergoing from the military industrial complex to something else known as the DIB. But what does that actually stand for? I don't know. Let's see.
Fed, and since we don't have any of our own wars and we don't have a reason to deplete our stocks and our bombs and weapons that we have, we'll engage in these other things to keep them healthy and thriving. In fact, the Biden administration even made that argument in a letter to Congress for why we should do this supplemental foreign aid to Israel, to Ukraine, to Taiwan. They made the argument that the defense industrial base needs to be strong, and so we need to spend this money. And they gave a list of all the states in the United States that would benefit from this spending, and that's why they said we should do it.
But look, everyone who lives here wants to be proud of the country. I always have been, and I'm proud of its people still. But if your main export is death, what?
It doesn't work in the long run. I mean, there is blowback.
Wrong.
We're engendering a lot of ill will. Look, 10 years ago, even more recently than that, the only way we could get to the space station was on a Russian rocket.
Right.
And we had a collaboration with them. We were able to get to space that way. And now we don't. I mean, and the bad thing that's, like in the Middle East, Israel's creating
tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people who are going to hate the United States, and you know, they're going to hate Israel also. But because we're giving Israel the weapons to do what they're doing, we're creating a lot of people who hate us in this country.
But we're told that it's essential to our national security to do that. Do you believe that?
No, I don't see that.
So basically, yeah, that was just explaining the military a little. He's clocking the military situations. He's able to talk about that, but I was right about you know, just in general about saying that he has more ST than NT. But yeah, he has a bit of NT in order to explain all these things. I get very tired explaining thing after thing after thing, because there's so much to understand about the government, about politics, about all these things, and about people in general. There are a lot of concepts that explain the inner workings of the mind, of the person, and it can be exhausting to explain all that. So Thomas Massie is able to do it. Good for him. And yeah, so I think narrowing down the guess, but we do that, I have one last clip and we'll just go over some of this. So he is not really asking who benefits in a calm savior situation. That's true. And think of the NI guy, Chinese high school teacher. Everybody was linking who predicted the Iran war. He was NTing with a little NF. Jiang Shuiqin, forgot that guy's name. Yep. Yeah, so this is different. Yeah, it's not like that much NT. I'm not going to type Thomas Massie NT, so don't worry about that. He's ST for sure. But the main point for me to do this video about Thomas Massie as someone who is good character, or someone who's trying to have good character, is that he has courage. He is trying to do the right thing. He's trying to do the good thing. Does he know everything? Absolutely not. Do I disagree with him on issues? Yes, I disagree with him on a number of issues. But I think in the areas that he is learning things, right? When it comes to Epstein files, when it comes to and the wars that we're funding, that we shouldn't be funding, and then the foreign lobbying, all this, like, I think he's on point with these specific issues. I think he's shown a lot of courage. He's put skin in the game in that sense. He has risked his own life, his own, you know, a lot. He's risked a lot just to be able to push forward these ideas, to be able to stand against as the lone Republican oftentimes against things that make no sense, bills that make no sense, where everyone else is just playing the political game. And at a certain point, you just have to have principles. You have to, you know, just stop playing the weird political game. But that's, you know, so says me. You know, he did lose his recent primary, so who knows how far that goes. But they spent $30 or $40 million against him, you know, and by they, I mean AIPAC and, you know, Israel. So spending money in our elections. So what does that say? But yeah, anyway, the values are courage over apathy, courage over cowardice, courage over ignorance, and seek knowledge. That's my message, you know. But I think Thomas Massie embodies. Let's see some of his remarks for a minute.
You are patriots, and you will inherit this country, and you will make it better. And I am hopeful because of that. Thank you. We accidentally, I think, I accidentally, didn't mean to do this. It started out as an election and it turned into a movement. I mean, I think people, if you're not tired of politics, if you're not jaded, if you're not cynical, and many people are, you know, people that want somebody that'll go along to get along. I've never heard of that strategy, but that seems to be what the voters want. That's what's been promised to them, but not the young voters. I mean, we stirred up something. There is a yearning in this country for somebody who will vote for principles over party. You all don't like bullies, and you also, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Basically, yes. Example, I mean, people support him, people like him. Approval rating, just a matter of when you put money into commercials, this is, it causes some people to lose elections when Israel pours 30 or 40 million dollars into your campaign opponent, who was just some no-name guy in this case, right? But yeah, I think courage is important. I think it's important in people. There's no hero that's going to save you, but we might be lucky to have a few good people here and there up to. Try to have your own courage rather than looking for that in others, right? And seek your own knowledge rather than trying to offload all the thinking, all the knowledge to someone else, some guru, right? And so anyway, yeah, I'm going to go with my guess, but before I do, I'll see if there's anything to pull up here. And it propelled him in greater things. Yeah. This could be just a momentary blip, but I'm having some delay with pulling up comments. So I might have to just power through here. So yeah, my initial narrow down is, first I thought TI, this is a ITP of some kind, introvert. That's just the first guess, the first pass. And then eventually, you're starting to see OE. At least I'm seeing OE. You could have already wiped out the type. This is very safe. And then you go OE, and I think he's in this region somewhere with consumed sleep, IP. And then, of course, it turned out to be an ISTP, at least from what I'm guessing. And he's a mopey one at that. So TI, SE, either double feminine or MF. I understand it could be masculine DE or not. I'm not sure. But yeah, here's my first. I'm not sure about the sexual modalities. It seems like the connection is breaking up a bit. But yeah, ISTP for sure. Yep. That's what I'm seeing. And yeah, it might be some pulling from the internet or whatnot. But anyway, my guess is ISTP of some kind. And my alternate guess was the masculine version, MF. Is it FF, MF? I don't know the sexual modalities. And that's why I was saying the NT. Like, I know he's consumed sleep, but is it play last? But my final guess is actually consume sleep play, blast 4, social type, very easy. Double feminine, if not MF. I don't know that part, but definitely TISC. Okay, he's a standard ISTP for sure, or at least as much as I can guess. As usual, my disclaimer is I don't have type accuracy guarantees, right? Of course, I had to do my ST, but it was really fun typing this guy because I think he is doing a lot outside of his own type. I think he's taking a lot of risks. He's showing a lot of courage. I think it's very easy to sit at home and just make your money and have your family and forget about everybody. Like pretty much he said in one of the clips, which is like, just wipe your memory and forget about all the problems, right? But for those of us who are learning about the problems in the world and we want to do, this is character. This is someone with, in my opinion, good character, strong character, doing something about the problems that he sees in the world. And that's what I strive to do. And yeah, we also have a great case of visuals not really telling the server. Yep. And yeah, my general message in general between this class and the previous one as well is just focus on the signal over the noise. Whatever you're going through in life, whether it's double deciding or double observing, there's always going to be a signal and there's going to be a noise. And the noise is the thing you should ignore, and the signal is the thing that you should pay more attention to. So that will help you with typing. It'll also help you in life. And that is the thing that I'm looking at. Yeah, don't forget to double occasional single observing and single deciding. And speaking of which, the next class is going to be a darkness class. That warning. So the warning is the next class is going to be a little dark. So the subject matter is going to be Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm saying that ahead of time. And then, yeah. So I purposely didn't get that good of an. Okay. So, yes. I wonder if it's the internet. But basically, the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing an episode on Jeffrey Epstein and all this. But apparently someone does not want me talking about this. So, and I'm just saying that that there is an ENFP he had an interview with. We'll see how much we can get out of that. Steve Bannon, they had an interview, and how much having an association with this dude is not. Having association with bad people is not good. Anyway, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. I do have a link in the description for one-on-one coaching. You can also message me, let me know. And because I think there's a lot of darkness in this world, there's a way through it, and all that. I did have a PSA here on double deciding, double observing, not penalizing anyone. I think it's very important. But yeah, check the description. And yeah, Thomas Massie is good, largely great, excellent. And yep, it's looking good. All right. Take care, everyone. See ya.